Welcome back, guys. We have another great video today with Coda. We're going through the YouTube comments, the most asked questions. We have some great questions and also some pretty crazy questions. So stay tuned. Also, like, comment, subscribe. We just hit 200 subscribers. So thank you all very much. And let's get into the video.
All right, guys. So the first question here comes from Justin5151. Who should buy the supplies? Me or the employees? So it really depends on your business model, whether you're doing W-2 or independent contractor. However, if you're just getting started, we recommend doing independent contractor where they buy all of their supplies. This is going to allow you to make more money, less overhead for you, and it makes it a lot easier to scale in the beginning.
Next question is by Harmon1056. Harmon, I see you have a few questions on here, so we'll get to all of them. But the first question I wanted to answer is, man, Ella said and taking my profit margins. How do I deal with this? And how many calls do you think I should close per day to get to 10K per month? Because it's literally 1 to 2 I'm getting a day, and they all price shop and leave. Now, Harmon, I don't know your market, and I haven't listened to these sales calls, but I'm going to answer this question based off of my experience. As far as how many you should close, I would shoot to a 40% close rate. Now, if all of your people are price shopping and leaving, you might actually have a sales issue, and it might not necessarily be the quality of the customer, but that really depends on if you're pitching your product right, if you're pitching your service right, if you're properly following up with them after this call, if your pricing is too high, are you competitive, are you low? Depends on a lot of factors. There's not like a magic number that you need to hit to get to 10K per month, but shoot for 40%. With LSA being anywhere from $70 to $100 per lead now, at least in my location, it's probably similar to where you are too. It's tough to make money on the front end. However, on the back end is where you make money. So once you convert them into recurring, me and Sam just recently started LSA. We've been doing all organic for the past year, but we decided to turn it on to test it out. And we were getting charged up to $100 per lead. But even with that cost we were paying, we still profited just on the front end $200. Now, it's not great, but we're going to convert some of those clients to recurring. And from there, we'll make money every single month on the back end. So that's what I would recommend. And Sam, do you want to add anything into what I mentioned before?
Yeah. Max kind of mentioned it's probably a sales problem, and it really comes down to your sales framework. You need to flow them through that sales call, ask the right question, ask about the condition, really show that you're a super professional company leading up to that pitch. Now, if you just have a super short sales call, you ask a couple questions, then you hit them with the price immediately, a lot of them are going to be price shopping. You need to fight the objections. You need to answer all their questions. You need to show that you have the best possible services around, and you need to sell your services with confidence and conviction if you want them to believe and you want them to use your services. Now, like Max is also saying, you're going to be making money on the back end. But how do you do that? If you don't call them immediately after the cleaning is completed, they can be gone the next day or 2 days after. Maybe they're not happy with their service and they're mad at you and they don't want to ever use you again. So as soon as the cleaning is completed, you need to call them, figure out how the services went. If they're happy with it, that's when you need to convert them to recurring. If they're not happy, you need to send a team back to re-clean it in order to make sure they're satisfied so you can convert them recurring and actually make money in the long term.
Exactly. Guys, in the beginning, I mentioned we're going to have some crazy questions as well. And there was one comment that I wanted to put in here because it's absolutely absurd. But I wanted to address it because I thought it was interesting. The Republic of John, he said this. So the business plan is to exploit janitorial staff and cleaners by underpaying them and taking a cut of value of the workers' labor. You're as dirty as the toilets, bro. So first thing I want to say is I think this comes down to incompetence. I don't think he's being malice or he's a bad person. I just don't think he understands how business works. Whenever you're running a company, it doesn't matter if it's McDonald's, doesn't matter if it's Home Depot, you're going to be paying your workers X amount and you have to profit at the end of the day. In doing so, you need to provide a high quality service and need to be benefiting the people who work for you. So when it comes to a cleaning company, most of the cleaners we are working are charging below a market value rate. they're already charging probably around $20 per hour for their labor. And on top of that, they struggle getting jobs. So we come in, we're able to charge 40, 50, even $60 per hour, pay them the same, if not more. And then they don't have to worry about finding jobs because we're going to be doing the advertising. We're going to spend the advertising money. We're going to spend the money in SEO. We're going to make sure that their calendar is full. So people like this don't understand what actually goes into running a business. I didn't make money for my first 5 months in the cleaning business. We didn't make $1. Our cleaners made more than us. There were some months, even when we were making money, where our cleaners were making more than us. One of our cleaners were making $10K per month. Now, he had multiple crews under him, but he had some months where he broke $10,000. That was more than what we were making at the time. So it's not exploiting cleaners. It's doing a service for not only the homeowners, but also the cleaners themselves. Anyways, John, hope that answered your question. Next question wasn't really a question, but he commented 10% profit is criminal. Now, this was on a cleaning business audit podcast where one of our guests was overpaying the cleaners and they were getting like 70% of the job. And after ad spend, he was taking home maybe 10%. So we were able to easily adjust that. But at the end of the month, he did $100,000 in revenue and profit. The end of the year, he did $100,000 revenue, ended up profiting $10,000. So that is criminal, but we went over the numbers and we were able to adjust that. So this year is going to profit around 50%, which is going to be huge.
And it's so important to like track your numbers. If you don't know what your close rates are, if you don't know how much of a percentage you're paying your cleaners, how are you going to improve and get better in the future and raise your profit margins? So track your numbers, make sure your data is accurate so you can analyze that information and improve moving forward. So this question is by Pure Genius. He's just starting a cleaning company and he's wondering what scheduling software or what CRM to use for the business. We would always recommend Schedule Drop. It's a very, very efficient tool. It's going to allow you to organize and manage your business. You can also communicate it through there. So you don't have to have an alternative phone system. You don't need something like OpenPhone or anything like that. You can use it all within Schedule Drop, which we absolutely love, simplifying your life so you can focus on the business and growth. You don't have to worry about all this crazy technology stuff. Let's keep it simple. Let's keep it straight to the point. And let's focus on making money and growing our business. So this next question's from Harmon. How do you go from 10K to 20K? It's really about repeating some of the same steps and constantly putting in that work every single day. So let's just say you're successful on LSA, you have good margins, you're making money, turn up the ad spend. You need to put the money where it's working. So if you're having success in LSA, turn up the ad spend more money and continue to convert leads. If you're using Thumbtack and you're having good success with it, you have good profit margins, you're closing well, you're making money, put more money into that, turn up the ad spend. It's all about the data. If you know you're doing good on these specific marketing channels, just put more time into it, put more money into it. It's going to allow you to grow faster and efficiently. Also, continuously hire cleaners. You need cleaners to scale. There's always going to be cleaners that are dropping off. There's always going to be cleaners that may mess up and do a bad job and you have to fire them. So in order to scale, you have to constantly be hiring. You can never stop hiring. We're always hiring every single week, every single day. We basically have a job post active all the time. So you need to be hiring. You need to put the money where it's working, focus on those marketing channels and constantly improve and play around with different things. Make Facebook posts, go into Facebook groups, go into Nextdoor and talk in there, introduce yourself, introduce your business, become kind of popular in the local area, in those local groups. People will start to use you more. They'll refer you around. You'll create this network within your local area.
And just to add on to that, a lot of people are like comment like, how do I get from 10K to 20 or how do I get from 30K to 60K, whatever that is. There's not a magic answer, just especially from that client. Like we can't look into your business and see where your strengths are, where your weaknesses are. Anyone's going to need more information than that. I would recommend trying to pin down a specific point you're struggling, and then we'd probably be able to help you out a little bit better. One thing I would say for anyone who wants to just improve their business is you have to be self-aware. If you're not aware of what's going well in your business, what's not going well in your business, and how are you possibly going to improve? And once you figure out what is going well and what's not going well, you could do exactly what Sam said and double down.
Yeah, maybe you have a follow-up problem too. Maybe you don't have a good lead nurturing system. You're not sending messages after you quote somebody You need to focus, like Max was saying, on these issues, improve those, and that's the only way you're going to be able to grow.
Yeah, exactly. That's next question. We have another question from Mojojo335. What if you're running your business from a different city or state? Now, if you're able to get your business up and running in a different city or state, you typically won't have any issues. The only issues you may have would be setting up that Google business profile, because a lot of times you need to be in that area, especially if you want to get a storefront business. Another issue you could potentially run into is walkthroughs and not being able to go to commercial properties yourself and overseeing like larger jobs if you have the opportunity to do big post-construction cleanups or jobs where you need a supervisor. However, there are ways around those walkthroughs or those big jobs in the sense that you could just pay a cleaner a little bit more to do those walkthroughs for you as well. And then you also run into the issue too, where you're probably have to rely on more online marketing, which is totally okay. You're not going to be able to just do the guerrilla marketing in-person techniques that a lot of times we talk about in our videos. Next question is by Jatar Jackson 492. He said, also, what if we have our own GHL account, which is Go High Level? Can we get Clean Genie Snapshot for a fee? The answer is no. We typically don't give out snapshots. Sometimes we will, but the issue with that is you won't be able to manage it. If you have questions, we can't support you if it's on your own account. So a lot of times we don't offer that. If you are interested in Clean Genie, the link will be below. We have plans to help automate certain tasks, to do outreach, to follow up with their clients, etc. Next question was by Maradona F90. She said, is this for commercial? Now, that video was referring to how to start a cleaning company 10K or from 0 to 10K a month in 2025. It's one of the most popular videos. And it's not strictly for commercial. It could work for commercial. If you're going to start a straight commercial cleaning business, I would do things a little bit differently than I would if it was residential. I probably wouldn't hire 1099 cleaners. Of course, you could probably try to systemize everything as much as possible with supplying certain supplies, making sure that cleaners are working full time for you and they're not working for anyone else. Because a lot of times with commercial properties, it requires a different level of detail and a different level of responsibility that residential cleans just don't require. Harmon, another question by Harmon1056. He mentioned, how do I push through that 4 to 10K mark? I am stuck at that mark and I can't scale with LSA. Now, your issue just from that, I'm assuming you're just relying on LSA. You should have other lead gen sources. You should be doing outbound. You should be testing out different ad platforms. And you should be trying different things. I wouldn't just rely on LSA. However, you can scale past that mark just with LSA if your sales, if your follow-up game is on point as well. So again, Harmon, I hope that's helpful. I can't really answer that in depthly with just that information, but I hope you got some value out of it. Guys, thank you so much for watching. We're going to continue doing these videos with both of us. If you have any more comments, just comment down below. We'll get back to them in another video based on the feedback from you guys. But don't forget, like, comment, subscribe below. Thank you for watching.